Welcome to How to Ambisonics. This is a series of tutorials by Dirty Deal Audio. My name is Roberto, and today I will talk about strategies for live ambisonics performance, or in other words, strategies for playing music using multi-channel systems. I guess a good way to start is by stating the problem that we're trying to solve, which is basically sending multi-channel audio in between performers on a live situation without having to use so many cables. One way in which we have done this is using Dante, which is what we will be talking about today. But there are other ways, such as, for example, Sonoboss, which our friend Simone Spampinato covers in another tutorial, or other such methods like MADI, ADAT, or AVB. Now, we choose Dante because Dante allows us to work on this way without much investment in new hardware, which would be the case, for example, in using AVB, which requires a higher-end network switch, or MADI, which will require to use some sort of interface from all performers involved. Although Dante does require some licensing, of course we can use a free trial, but the investment wouldn't be so high. And so what is Dante? Well, Dante is a protocol for sending multi-channel audio over an Ethernet cable or internet infrastructure, which allows to send up to 128 channels of audio, depending on the interface on the devices that you will be using. And it works by creating a network, a so-called Dante Network, and a software in your computer that is called Dante Virtual Sound Card, which is basically like a sound card, like the name implies, but it's just pure software. So we connect to the network using an Ethernet cable and using a switch, which can be an existing switch, an off-the-shelf switch like this inexpensive switch I bought in Amazon for 50 euros. This is a TP-Link SG108P, which has 8 ports with 4 of them being powered over Ethernet, and as I said, this is under 50 euros. And so what happens is that all performers will connect to the same switch, and then a network will have to be created, and this network has to be created by a Dante enabled device. This can be a mixer or a stage box or a sound interface and so on, but also a computer running Dante Via. All of this is complemented by another piece of software called Dante Controller, which enables us to indicate which of our outputs will be sent to which input in other performers. So, to recap, there are 3 pieces of software that we will be using for this: Dante Virtual Sound Card, Dante Controller, and Dante Via. One thing to note is very important is that Dante Via and Dante Virtual Sound Card cannot be used at the same time, and that is because Dante Via, while also used to send audio in between applications in the same computer, it will be used in this case to create the network, and it functions as a virtual sound card itself. So, just to repeat, Virtual Sound Card, Dante Virtual Sound Card, and Dante Via cannot run simultaneously in the same laptop. Only one laptop will be using Dante Via for this configuration, and it's better to not use more than one Dante Via per network because there can be problems and collisions and bugs that we have detected when using 2 of them, or the different laptops will be fighting to be the leader of the network. So how does this work? So basically all performers will connect to the same switch. One of them will be using Dante Via and everyone else will be using Dante Virtual Sound Card. Once everyone is running the Dante Virtual Sound Card, each of them or one of them, it doesn't really matter, will connect to Dante Controller or open Dante Controller in their machine, and we will be able to send audio to one single computer or one single performer that will be the one that is connected to the actual hardware of the system, meaning the speakers or the amplifiers and so on and so on. So one limitation for the person using Dante Via is that this person will be only able to send and receive 16 channels because Dante Via only allows a stereo or a 16-channel version of the sound card, whereas people using Dante Virtual Sound Card are able to send up to 64 or 128 channels. So all performers involved will send their audio to the person connected to the hardware, and the person that is using Dante Via will also send to the person connected to the hardware with the added responsibility of creating the network. This creating the network means nothing else but opening Dante Via and sending audio through it. Okay, so now we go through the process of installing Dante. I do Google search Dante Virtual Sound Card. I can click on the first result, hit get Dante, and then I am presented with a few options for licensing Dante Virtual Sound Card. And bear in mind that there is also a 30-day license and 30-day free trial. Now, another important thing to consider is that there used to be the possibility to move your license across different machines, but Audinate, the company running Dante, decided otherwise. And now if you want to have the ability to transfer your license in between machines, you will have to go for the transferable license. I personally recommend this option, or in fact a combo with Dante Virtual Sound Card and Dante Via. But for the time being, we can just go for the trial. I will create an account so that you would see the process from beginning to end. Sign up. First name, this is me, and now I can start a 30-day trial. Start free trial. Your free trial has started. This is my license. I will copy this. And now I can go to download the software. I click on support, download software, and I will be downloading for Mac. Okay, so we click on install Dante Virtual Sound Card. So this will stop your sound. And then we will restart the computer. Okay, having installed Dante Virtual Sound Card, we can install now Dante Via. Dante Via. Continue. So again, it asks for a restart. Okay, so now we only need to download Dante Controller. Once downloaded, I install. And that's it. So now I will go ahead and close this. And that's it. Okay, so let's see how this works. I have opened an instance of Reaper in here, and I will begin by opening Dante Via. I start Dante Via, and I will make sure that I have selected the network interface that I have connected to the switch. In this case, it's a USB dongle that I have in here. Everything is good. And I can ignore this symbol in here, which indicates that Dante Via is not selected as the default output for the system. Now, I can see that Reaper is already selected in the applications that I have as audio sources, which means that this is audio that I will be sending. This is the source of the audio, so meaning that I am the source of this audio in Reaper, and I will be able to send it. So this is made available to other people in the network. I can also receive audio by selecting this 16 channel application input in Dante Via, which means that I can also receive audio from other computers. Now I will delete this because I was working with this before. For the sake of the demonstration, we will start from the very beginning. Okay, so this is it. The network is created, and then I have another computer running Dante Virtual Sound Card. That would look something like this. If I stop this, I open Dante Virtual Sound Card, and I need to activate a license. And after activating the license, I will select 64 by 64 channels and 4 milliseconds latency. This, for example, is one advantage that Dante offers over Sonobus. While Sonobus works at a latency of around 20, 30, sometimes 40 milliseconds in the test that we have performed, Dante is able to come down to 4 milliseconds and sometimes less, depending. Network interface, again, USB. Okay, so we get a warning because the dongle that I am using to connect over Ethernet does not have the most modern drivers for Ethernet connection, which according to Odinate can be ignored unless we have problems with the audio or we're using more than 64 channels. So I will ignore this and connect. Okay, and once we have connected both computers or all the users to the network, I can go and open Dante Controller, and I will see in the network that I have available as transmitter and receivers both my own machine, which is this selves, and the other test machine, which is Mac Mini 3. So let's say, for example, that I want to send my audio to the Mac Mini 3. I will do transmitter selves to Mac Mini, and I will select, for example, audio 1 through 16, and I will address this pop-up that came up now, 14, 15, 16. So now, since I am sending audio from Dante Via to Dante Virtual Sound Card in another machine, the other machine is requesting to access the audio from my machine. So I get this pop-up saying access control request. Dante Mini is trying to access this endpoint, meaning that the Dante in Mac Mini 3 is trying to access the endpoint of audio of my current machine. I will allow, and then this will turn green. And now I can send audio from Mac Mini 3 to this local machine. And I can do, for example, channels 1 through 16 to my 1 through 16. In this case, we don't need to approve any endpoint access because we are not using Dante Via on the other machine. The event log is on red because there were some errors in the beginning of the connection. We can already clear those and make sure that nothing is wrong at the moment. And so now we are sending audio from Mac Mini to my local sales machine. Okay, so I can now receive audio from Mac Mini in here. I do that by creating a new track. I enable 16 channel. Master send, okay, master also 16 channel, output 16, 1 to 16, and the input will be 1 to 16. And here we are receiving audio from the Mac Mini into this computer. Now I could, for example, now record in here. Save all, and I could instead play this back. And in here, I could be sending it back to the other computer. And here I'm sending over the master channel 16 channels through to the Mac Mini. And in this way we have established a simple Dante network with which we can connect up to 5 participants using third order Ambisonics, which means 16 channel per person. 4 of them are sending audio, and the 5th, which is connected to the hardware, is not sending any audio, just receiving, and this is how we are using up to 64 channels that the system is allowing us so far. And that's it. Happy Ambisonics playing!